yeah, definitely now is a great time to learn coding, and like you can start anywhere, to be honest, because the principles of base, like there are a number of elements when you learn to code. There's like the basic principles. It's like setting a variable. If variable is greater than other variable, change things, right? Like that's really fundamental to like almost every single programming language. After that, the other part of programming that I feel like doesn't get talked about a lot, but is just as important. I think it gets talked about a lot more now that there's so much content out there, which is setting up your environment. So it's my environment here, right, is Sammy, or your pipeline, I guess, is Sammy hooks up to OBS and renders all the scenes and the graphics and everything, right? Or like your pipeline is like setting up Unity and like having your rendering thing work a certain way, or like, you know, when you press Alt Enter, it plays the game, or you do it through Godot or something. Like the actual act of putting the code into something and then something comes out, right? Or with like web development, it's like you have to have a server, like a server program, and then you connect to that through your internet browser, and then that it sends you a web page, and then you manipulate the web page, right? And so all those things, personally for me, that's the hardest part, is understanding like how all of that works, because no one's making a program from scratch. Like for the most part, a lot of people are not making the program from scratch. That's what I got twisted at the first part. I'm like, oh, okay, well, if I'm making a game, I start with this text file and eventually I'm going to work my way up to the fucking rendering engine. It's like, that's not it. A lot of programming is like figuring out the tool set that people work first and then like learning that. And then Doug, I think, also has a great video I saw recently that just like talks about his whole pipeline. And it's like, yeah, I have this library going to this library, and then it like goes into OBS. And that's that's his thing. So everyone's is a little different, but you can find the standardized version. That I think that's like another important part of when you learn to code, is one half is like actually learning how to code, and then like the other part is like learning the software that puts it all together. It's like learning math. Like you can do math on anything, but then like where you apply that math, like you write it in a notebook, you put it in a computer, you like, I don't know, do math in your head. That's like a separate skill set altogether. Do I suggest a specific program? It really depends on you as a person, because me as a person, I need to see something react to my code or render in my code really quickly. So things like Godot or things like Sammy, when I like change code, I can see the change right away. Other people may not, that's not the highest value thing, so they can choose something else to start with. But I think the most specific thing you should learn is, I think the thing you should focus on actually is, what idea do you want to do first? Like if your idea is, I want to make a game, that's a great start, but really focus in on like what experience you want to create. Like, I want to make a game, great, but I'm going to encourage you to say like, I want to make a first-person shooter, right? That's even better. Then get even smaller and be like, what is a first-person shooter I can make with my limited knowledge today in a day? Like, what version of that can I make? And like really start there. That's like it sounds so simple, but just like saying getting 8 hours of sleep and drink a lot of water is simple, not everybody does it. And if you just do that, you're going to be good to go. Want to make an FPS a foot pleasure simulator? That's actually not a bad idea, right? Because this is how that game would work. You would render a foot, like draw a 2D foot in front of the screen, and depending where you click on the foot, you get points. That's a really simple game you could make. Like that would teach you a lot about Godot or whatever engine you make. If you could just pull up a picture of a foot, right? And then click wherever part on the foot and you score points depending on where you click. Like that's not a bad project. And then you could take it further, right? So here's the part of like starting small. Once you get that simple idea done, then where can you take that next? It's like, okay, I have this simple game where you click a foot and points go up. That's funny. What if you added sound effects, right? Depending where you click, like the person behind the person foot, or you get some audio that's like the person getting pleasure from you poking the foot. So it's like, ah, that feels great. Or like, whoa, that feels amazing. Right now you started adding sound to your game. Now what if you add story, and then you add save states, and then so you slowly build upon like this very, very core idea. What the hell? I'm giving an example. Someone's asking an example. You keep talking about feet. I'm giving you a relevant example for how to make a game. I'm giving you I'm not saying this is a game I would make or I would like to play. I'm giving you a real example. You guys were asking, like, how do you get started coding? And I promise you, like, the simplest answer is find the smallest idea and then act on it. Like, let's give an example with streaming, right? Let's say, like, I want to make an interactive stream with TTS. Find the simplest way to make your avatar talk with TTS, right? And that could be just using stream alerts, right? Which is just have like a GIF of a frog talking that plays every time someone redeems TTS. That is like that's not 100% like one-to-one reactive, but it will get you started, right? Like I think as a person, for me, I'm actually not someone who's great at details. Like I'm very broad strokes, get it done quickly, which has its strengths and also its weaknesses. But the strength is I can look at an idea and really break it down to be like, how much can I get away with and still have people take away the majority of the idea? It's like, how much can I how lazy can I be with this idea and you guys still get the whole concept is kind of the whole point, which I think is actually a really important part with streaming. And then over time, I'm like, wait, I can actually do a lot within a shorter amount of time, so I don't have to cut as many corners. But you have to start in the simplest way possible. That's the key.
Credentials. Nothing else matters at all. Your world is a playground designed for you and only you to achieve your highest level ambitions. If you lock in, you can do anything, motherfucker. By the way, someone said, when are you going to grow your hair? So this is a...